This is an interesting project and something I really needed. I didn't realize I needed it until about a few months ago. I've been welding more aluminum than I've been welding steel. And I have to admit, at the beginning of the times when I was welding aluminum, I was more concerned with the gas, the prep, the filler, all the stuff, not the safety. And I was reading an article in the paper the other day about some 18-year-old welder who developed what they called welder's anthrax. It's not truly anthrax, but the welding fume so damages lungs that it gets an opportunistic bacterial infection, and it looks like anthrax on the X-rays, I guess, and it's not good. And I thought, I probably need to do some more, especially since I'm finding out about aluminum welding. I've always worn an N95 mask and steel welding, and I use it also on aluminum, but a lot of aluminum welding, it actually generates a lot of ozone, and no mask will take care of this gas, and who knows what else is in this witch's brew stuff. And I thought, it's time to do something better. So I looked around at what I can get and what I can buy, and I thought, you know what, I can make this. And that's what I did. I came up with this powered air purifying respirator. Now, air purifying, because really what it does, instead of trying to filter out breathable air, in that witch's brew welding fumes on my other side. I thought I'm just going to supply fresh air to my mask, from a different room, this room. I jokingly call this room the clean room, and that my welding spot, that's the dirty room. My wife kind of disagrees with both of those. She says they're both dirty, but that's just the way it goes. All things relative. So I came up with this, and all the files, 3D printed files to make this thing, are on OTandAT over on Thingiverse. So you can kind of check that out if you want. And I think this is a real good thing, especially since it used to be that we could never weld these exotic stainless steel because we just didn't have the home equipment, but now we do. And I even thought about getting into stainless steel. I haven't, fortunately, because I needed much better protection than I dreamed what I had. So this is what I came up with. It uses a cleaner air. I've actually used this system. I'm really impressed with it. I'm kind of really hyped up on how well it works. So let's just get into it. This is it right here. This is the finished system. This is actually my maiden weld. And what you're looking at, this yellow hose here, this is really CPAP hose. It's actually, cheap, flexible, meldable, unfortunately, and that's why you see this yellow sleeve on the outside of this is Kevlar. Kevlar is fireproof, bulletproof, I guess, and all sorts of things. And I have to admit, it was quite interesting to cut. My regular scissors could not tackle this, but I did get it with a nice uber sharp fillet knife. So that's what I put on here. And now a lot of things I'm going to show you here are done before I put this Kevlar sleeve on it. It just makes it easier to see. So I have this favorite mask. I've been using this master spraying for, paint spraying and all that for years. And this is the Honeywell North, I guess it is, 550. And I got a new replacement, the Honeywell 770, same thing. Honeywell North, same everything, it seems like. In fact, all the pieces that work together. And I thought, well, I had this laying around in reserve for this new replacement. So I went ahead and modified it. Now, this is how I modified it. Where these filters on the side used to be, now we have these exhaust ports on each side. And I was printing up this main connector piece of the hose, but having a hard time getting the threads worked on it right. And it dawned on me, I think I have something like this. And so I went out in my shop here, and sure enough, in my PVC drawer, here's this little plumbing part, gray PVC, that fits perfectly, and it fits this 22 millimeter hose. Just it was just made for it. So instead of actually having to make this, I could just replace it with this 47-cent piece here. That was serendipitous. Now this is what I came up with. This orange thing you see here, that's actually the what used to be the exit port on the front bottom, but now I got one each side. In fact, I was able to dismantle that because these things just pop in and pop out of the mask. It's kind of a rubberized thing, and I made these new pieces to fit to utilize this old gasket. I was able to, find the supplier and get a couple, but this is how it goes together. They all just thread together. There are three pieces on these filters. That's the old gasket. I put an internal piece with threads. I did kind of sand the top where that flap, the orange gasket material, silicone piece, fits on to get a nice seal. And then I went to, this is just basically a protector on the outside. But yeah, it's when you're using this, you just feel this cold, cooler air, and I don't even get a whiff of the fumes. I was pretty impressed how well this works. So where the air comes from in this room, this is the clean room. I built this box here, which is going to be tiled out and trimmed out eventually. It's probably going to be a little table by my dartboard here. But I made it for the size to fit this 16 by 24 MERV 13 filter. This is it right here. And what's inside here, I'll go through this piece by piece, but there is a centrifugal blower fan in here, solid state relay, a wall wart to power everything. This is a variable control fan, so I can actually just set the speed and forget it. And there's an interface here, and there's actually a couple wires going to where I connect my hose onto where my mask connects to it. So I did have to drill a hole in the dirty wall here. It's been here 30, 40 years, and I figured a good place to put this box. You can't see it. It used to be a lot of clamps sitting here, so really no big deal. And now this is the piece I made. And like I said, all these pieces are available on Thingiverse, so you can just download them. But I did not get a good picture of this one. This is it fits 1/2 inch ID PVC pipe here, and the square part that just is a snug fit on the in nozzle of that square or rectangle fan output. Okay, and I actually did drill a hole, used my little vibrator cutter and cut through the box here and snugged it up. Now there is some bolts that I put on this, and I also caulk the whole thing for air tightness. Now I did not glue the pipe in. It's a real snug fit, just in case I might have to modify it later. I use 1/2 inch plywood, spined it all together, glued it and spined it. It's there forever. Now I did not put bolts on the bottom. They were going to interfere with where the fan was, but being it's all silicone caulked and it's there, I'm not worried about that. This is a Walhi, I think it's pronounced. I don't know. 140 by 40 millimeter AC fan with speed control. It really puts out a lot of air, and I do have to kind of crank it all the way up, I found out, because I'm blowing this thing through the tube, smaller diameter, and there's also a final filter, N95 filter, right on my belt that supplies the air to my face. So yeah, I didn't know if I'd even have a big enough fan here, but it works just fine. Now how I hooked this up to my mask in the shop, there's going to be an umbilical cord, and so what I came up with, this little attachment here, this is a little video here. That tube comes straight out here, and there's a little magnet in the top, and my fitting has a little magnet right on the top. Now what happened there is actually that little magnet in the top there turns, it actually switches on a reed switch, which then turns the solid state relay on, which then turns the fan on, and I have air blowing through it. The minute I disconnect it, it stops. So that works really slick. I know I got some magnet connectors here too, and grinding and magnets and stuff never go really good in the shop, so I'll have to clean it off a little bit. But I built this little metal cover on it just to kind of helpfully keep it a little bit cleaner. Now, there's always someone out there saying, oh, there's no air coming out of this or something. Anyway, so I just happened to be working on another project with this airspeed indicator. So there's a little magnet, 1/8 inch, just by attaching it to the top, it puts a steady stream of air out, and just by taking it away, disconnecting the umbilical cord, it all stops, which is nice because these magnets, I also made it so I can attach it right to my belt, so it kind of holds it all together. So let's see here, and this is the wiring of this. You can't see the top wires here, but these top wires go right to the speed control. What they did, I just cut off the extension cord, hooked it into a regular plug here, duplex plug, and I did disconnect. I have a close-up of the connection between this socket and the top socket. Now the bottom socket got this wall wart. As long as it's plugged in, it's active, supplying 5 volts. Here's my reed switch, which when the magnet gets close, like I showed you, it will actually turn on the solid state relay. The solid state relay will then energize the top plug, and I have my AC fan plugged into that. Now I did throw a 327 ohm resistor in here. I don't have the specs on this hockey puck little solid state relay. And I know read switches. If you put too much current, you can sort of arc them or whatever. I don't think it's a problem because usually these solid state relays activate in 20, 30 millivolts, milliamps. So I thought that's just fine. And I realized it doesn't take too much more because I actually tried a 1K resistor. It wasn't enough current to trigger it, even though the voltage was there. It simply needed more current. So I just threw that in there. I don't really know if it's necessary, but hey, it works. I'm not gonna, if it's not broke, I'm not gonna fix it. So here's a close-up of that duplex. You can just bend that back and forth a couple times. It snaps it off. This is the hot side, of course, and what it is, it actually just isolates that top one. So instead of it being energized, it's the top plug is only energized when the solid-state relay is turned on. Now this is an Inkbird. I use them. They're little Chinese hockey pucks. Grossly overrated for what their rating is. I won't get into that too much more, but this is on the AC coming in, AC going out, and it's energized every time that read switch is activated by the magnet being closed. Works great. Here's a little 327 resistor I put in. I put this little bus bar in there just to make it easy to play with it. Okay, that's the whole thing, its entirety. The fan I just used, there's actually just two screws that fit into, the wood screws that fit into this 2x4, and I put this in here first before I knew where the hole was going to be in the back of it, and it all lined up just perfectly fine. And now there's no gasket or anything or caulk on the fan. It's just a snug fit, a real snug fit. Okay, now this is what I wear on my belt. Okay, this is a instead of actually having the hose going right to your mask and pulling it off and everything, this kind of is the strain release for the hose. But it also has this final filter built into it. Okay, there. Well, yeah. First off, the end will just snap on this. If I do disconnect it, I can snap it on, snap it off. And what happens when that does that? Then it kind of plugs it, and so then I have to use this filter in the bottom here. Okay, so when this is completely closed off, I have whatever filter N95 or whatever I want. For a filter, it could be one even with activated charcoal to help with the ozone if that's the case. So I guess I got a little bit ahead of myself. This hopefully is the final filter. Oh, that's the same one. There we go. Come on. All right. This is the Honeywell N95 just inserts. You just plug it in there. That way, it's the final filter before it blows to your face. Just because then you never know what gets in the tube and whatnot. I did a print in 3 parts just to make it come out right. I have to print I found out when I'm printing on threads, I have to print in fine resolution. Otherwise, it just messes it up. I think that's 1 millimeter height I'm using on mine. This is all PETG I've used it for, and it works great. Not the prettiest, but very, very functional and strong. Now, what's nice about all this, this is the filter on the bottom you see here. I was able to take that original filters that were on the side of the mask and put that right into this hole here. A couple dabs of super glue to hold it in place, but it also comes with this little gasket preventing backfeed. So when I got air blowing in this box from my fan, it will not exit here because of that gasket. However, if I got the umbilical cord stuck on my belt there, then if I inhale, sure enough, it will actually let air in, but not air back out again. And that's the same thing on my top mask. I can actually inhale, nothing's going to come in here because of those upper gaskets, but they'll actually exit out those spots. Okay. Here's the belt. I made it a little bit. This is pretty substantial because I didn't know how much it's going to be for stress, but I really like that because I can actually just wear it. And I found out if I'm welding at the my vise, I wear it on one side, and if I'm on my welding table, I wear it on the other side because it's a little bit longer. But I got plenty of distance on this because I used, I think, 9 feet of umbilical hose going to this box. And then of course, I got that short one heading to the top here too. Now the problem with this umbilical cord stuff, or this hose, it has a life of its own. It's one to twist and kink. When I was actually just playing around with it, you're trying to get everything figured out originally, it'd be popping off the tops and all that. Now again, what you see in this picture here too, they're just dry fitting on here, so to speak. But I actually put little clamps on here, hose clamps and everything, and now they're nice and solid. But to help with all of this springiness here, because it was kind of a problem, I could see it was going to be kinking a problem, I came up with this swivel. Okay, this is 3D printed swivel, and well, here's a video of it here. Okay, come on. I was able to get some Teflon lid liners from US Plastic, sandwich them between some plywood, drill holes with a Forstner bit, and the two sides are the same. There's Teflon between everything, and so it just moves. Each side moves, the middle moves, and a lot of times when I'm actually making threads, I'll put some wax on it. That kind of makes things really lubricate better. But this one I did not. I want it to stick, and that way if I tighten it up, it's not going to kind of loosen up. And you can tighten this so it just barely moves, or it's real free to move. And what's surprising, because I got that way it's got lined up and all the layers, I can't determine there's a lot of leakage from this. So that's really kind of cool. I thought this was going to be a leakage spot, but no, not a problem. Still get plenty of air when I'm using that. So okay, this is the final one again, and my mask fits on. Everything is there. Like I said, I am really happy I did this, just because, you know, a lot of times I'm welding in here and on this dirty side over here. Yeah, I got the shop doors open. A lot of times I'll put a fan up, you know, blowing things away. I found out blowing on does not work very well for MIG. It kind of interferes with the envelope of my gases. But this really has, yeah, I'm really happy I did this. And I figured I'm just going to share this because I think we need to kind of up our game when it comes to welder's anthrax, or what we're doing to ourselves. Especially, I mean, now like I said, I don't weld galvanized, and I don't do stainless steel. I mostly now I'm actually getting into more aluminum. Like I said earlier, it has its own problem with its own gases and whatnot. So yeah, N95's not good enough anymore. You need something even better. So, and this is better. So anyway, hope this helps. Find everything, all the pieces, Thingiverse, download it, protect your lungs. They'll work for you a lot longer. Have a good day.